Okay. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Good evening. Thank you all for coming out tonight. My name is Linda Bridwell. I'm the Executive Director at the Public Service Commission. With me tonight are the three commissioners, and they will introduce themselves when we get into the public comment period. We also have some of the Public Service Commission staff here that are involved in this case. Again, we appreciate the opportunity to come and hear your public comments on Kentucky Power's demand side management case that is before the Public Service Commission. So let me make sure I want to make sure, because sometimes we get a little confusion about the purpose of this meeting. So the purpose of this meeting is a local opportunity for you to come out and provide public comment on the application that's pending in front of the Public Service Commission. Unfortunately, it's kind of a judicial process. So we will give you some very high-level information about what the case is, but the utility does not make a presentation. We can't answer questions specific to details about the case. We can give you kind of a high level. The commissioners will not answer any questions that you have. It's kind of like if your neighbor gets arrested for a DUI. You can't go to the judge and stand there and ask questions. It's, while the case is pending, and that's really kind of what this is. But that doesn't mean that you can't offer comment, or if you have a question about something, we encourage you to say, well, I want to know about such and such. You won't get an answer tonight, but it may be something that the commissioners also have a question about or feel like they should ask about. So I don't want anyone to feel like if you ask a question that it's just falling on deaf ears and it's a waste of time. It really is not. We want to encourage you all to, any member of the public, to provide public comment, and this is one opportunity where we try and be very transparent and come to the local community so you can provide comment in person rather than coming to Frankfurt or just sending an email. This way the commissioners are here, they're hearing you, but just understand that they're not going to engage or respond. So with that, I'm going to go through just real briefly. I'll have a presentation, just high level, what the purpose of this application is, what's in the request. Then we have if you have some questions, we have other staff members here that are a little more familiar with the case. Then this is the chance to ask the questions of the staff of how the process works, or what do I need to do if I want to watch the hearing, or those sort of things. Then after that, once we go into the public comment period, the commissioners will listen, but again, we won't be able to answer any questions at that point. So all of the public comments tonight, this is being recorded. It will be documented and part of the public record of the case. So if someone was not able to be here tonight, they can go back and see what was said, what was asked, and they can say, oh, well, I had this point that I wanted to make, but I couldn't come, so let me provide public comment as well. So again, I'll go through a little bit more about what that includes and how you make the public comments. So with that, assuming that I can, just a brief overview if you're not familiar with the Public Service Commission. The commission was created in 1934 by the state legislature. It's a 3-member administrative body. All 3 commissioners are here tonight. They are appointed by the governor and confirmed by the Senate. They have quasi-judicial duties. So essentially they are acting like a judge in a case, the 3 of them as the commission. We regulate over 1,100 utilities in the state of Kentucky. We're one of the state agencies that's actually funded by an assessment paid for by the utilities. Now, it shows up on your utility bill, but that's how it gets passed through, but it's not coming out of your general tax dollars. It is funded by the utilities that we regulate. The legislature, our charge as the commission is that every utility shall furnish adequate, efficient, reasonable service at a fair, just, and reasonable rate. And we will talk a little bit more about what constitutes a fair, just, and reasonable rate as we go through the presentation tonight. So again, the purpose of the commission is because utilities in Kentucky are not competitive. They're monopolies. Their rates and service are regulated by the Public Service Commission to keep them affordable, efficient, reasonable. Electric utilities have defined service territories. So that means that there's not competitive businesses for electric service, that they each have a defined service territory that is granted to them. To change that, they have to come to the commission and ask for a change. They are obligated to provide service to anyone in that service territory that asks. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not a cost for an extension or something like that, but they are obligated to provide service within that service territory. So the utility rates and services are regulated to make sure, because the infrastructure to provide service, right, the poles, the lines, all of that is very expensive. And so as citizens, we don't want competing lines, like one set of electric lines down one road and another set down another road. So the idea is that we regulate the rates and service. Changing those rates is a legal process. So just briefly, and I won't go through a lot of this, it's very similar if you watch legal shows. I mean, our hearings, they file an application. It will have written testimony. There's what we call a discovery period, where there's a back and forth in writing. All of that record is public, except for anything that's filed confidentially, but they have to meet certain standards under Kentucky statutes to be considered confidential information. If you go on our website, every single piece of information that has gone back and forth between all the parties is part of that record. You can see it. It's updated every single day. There can be parties that intervene. So the Attorney General in the state of Kentucky is actually the consumer advocate. So they are required, that's the authorization they've gotten from the legislature to be your advocate as a consumer with the electric companies in these cases, and in all of the utility cases. The parties respond to requests for the information, then we'll have an evidentiary hearing if it's necessary. Sometimes the case is very cut and dry and it goes on the record, but if there's any parties that intervene or anybody that asks for a hearing, that we will have an evidentiary hearing. Again, it's not unlike what you might see in a court process, other than there's 3 commissioners up there. The witnesses get sworn in, they are cross-examined by the different parties. Now, it's not quite as exciting as Perry Mason if you get into watching some of these proceedings, but it is very similar. The final order then is issued by the commissioners that decides the matter, and the public comments can be filed at any time during the case. So in addition to tonight, there are some ways that you can file written comments and make them in the case at any time. So to get into the heart of why we're here tonight, Kentucky Power has requested really 5 things: an expansion of what they call the Targeted Energy Efficiency Program for a total of $1.1 million over 3 years, a new home energy improvement program, and when I say that, I mean a home energy improvement program that is new for Kentucky Power, not a new home program. Hopefully new home programs new homes are being built more efficiently. But this will be under their design side management program. It's $1.8 million over the next 3 years. A commercial energy solutions program, again, this is a new program that hasn't been offered before, $2.9 million over the next 3 years. Then proposed changes in their tariffs, and the tariff is just the written rules of how they operate. So again, those are on the Public Service Commission's website. They're required to operate under their tariff, so anytime they want to make a change to one of their programs, they have to make sure that the language meets the tariff that's in their written program. They're also asking to recover this through a proposed increase to their demand side management surcharge that would be effective January 1st, 2025. So what exactly is demand side management for anyone who's not familiar with it? If you think about it, it's just customer side. So this is actually a program for a lot of different reasons that the electric utility is helping customers reduce their energy consumption. They're being encouraged by the utility. So they want to encourage, assist to change their usage patterns or actually find more efficient programs. The purpose of that is to reduce demand, hopefully reduce the individual's costs, and create sustainable energy sources. With that, under Kentucky revised statutes, the utility is allowed to, again, because we want them to encourage customers to use less power, but as a business, that means that you may not make as much money. So one of the things to encourage that is the legislature said, well, you can recover the costs of that program under your rates. The costs are assigned only to the customer classes that benefit. So when you saw those, the 1.1 and the $1.8 million for this residential class, those will be paid for by the residential class. The commercial class, the 2.9 will be paid for by the commercial class itself. So what these proposals mean: the expansion of the targeted energy program over 3 years. So currently, this is the only program that Kentucky Power currently has, is a demand side management program authorized. It was first approved in 1995, proposing to expand the program, and it was designed to provide supplemental funding for the U.S. Department of Energy's weatherization assistance program. So the Department of Energy has a program where they provide for targeted homes, and these are specifically income-based, lower income-based homes, looking to weatherize to make them more energy efficient. So this program by Kentucky Power is designed to target and expand that program, the money that's funded through the Department of Energy. It's available to customers with primary electric heat, an average of 700 kilowatts per month, and it is income-based. It's $1,000 per home, up to 60 homes in 3 years. So that's an expansion of that program, is what this is targeted to cover. The new program that they're looking at for residential is a home energy improvement program, $1.8 million over 3 years. This would have an in-home energy audit at no cost to the consumer. After the audit, installation of select energy conservation measures or incentives or rebates if the homeowner chooses to do something at their own cost for different qualifying installations and weatherization. All residential customers are eligible for this. So you can call Kentucky Power, and that was one of the things that I really hope that you all will help us get the word out, help Kentucky Power get the word out, that if you have neighbors or family members that could benefit from this program, that there is an opportunity here eligible for all residential customers to have an audit and potentially installations. Now, the Commercial Energy Solutions Program, again, an energy audit provided at no cost to the customer. Participants are eligible to receive incentives or rebates for qualifying installations. So again, for a commercial customer, they would have to make the installations at their own cost, but then they would be provided an incentive or a rebate. Year one is only lighting incentives. So LED lights, measures that could reduce the electric consumption through lighting. Year two will add in HVAC incentives, and then year three will also add food service equipment initiatives. So this is kind of expanding the program on the commercial side to reduce the customer use. The maximum amount for any one customer is up to $25,000. So the changes to the tariff that we talked about, it includes the 2025 budget and the new rates. It's actually, the rates are not retroactive, but some of the program and the authorization of the continuation of the program goes back to May 31st, 2024. And there's some new language in there to describe these new programs. Then finally, I think what probably everybody is probably interested in, the increase to the DSM surcharge effective January 1st, 2025. So coming right after Christmas, January 1st. It changes the rate from $0.000149 per kilowatt to $0.000644. So what does that mean on your electric bill? So for a residential customer who uses an average of 1,140 kilowatts per hour, and again, that's the average for Kentucky Power customers, it will go from 17 cents a month to 73 cents a month. So that's the impact on the average residential bill at this point. There are two intervening parties at this time. The Attorney General's office, again, who I talked about, is the consumer advocate. Their role, authorized by the legislature, is to be the advocate for the customers in the case. The role of the commission is to balance the parties. So they're trying to take in all of the opposing parties and what is going on there, and that's the role kind of as the judge in the case. That's why we talk about this quasi-judicial. The Kentucky Resources Council is also an intervening party. They are based, they frequently will intervene. They're looking at sustainable energy efficiencies, things that are wisely using the resources for Kentucky is their goal essentially. So the next steps. We came tonight. This is the only public comment meeting that we're having off-site, but we are having the hearing beginning on Thursday, December 19th at 9 a.m. in the morning. It's estimated right now to continue for 2 days, so it will be Thursday and Friday of that week before Christmas. The public comments are also accepted at the start of the hearing. So if someone wants to come to Frankfort at the start of the hearing, they can make a comment in person, or they can also, we have an option for a video link that we will put the instructions up 24 hours before. You have to contact the commission and say, I want to make a virtual comment at the start of the hearing. We will send you the link right before the hearing. So again, so that's just to make sure that we don't get people that are not supposed to be on the hearing, but then you are allowed to make public comment at that time at the start of the hearing. Now, the hearing's open to the public. We also have, if you go to our website, you can watch it live on a YouTube channel. There'll be a link on our website. It'll open up. You can watch it at that time. The final order is statutorily required by March 1st, 2025. Obviously, Kentucky Power has asked for the rates to go into effect January 1st, 2025. So the hearing with the 19th and then moving forward on that. So at this time, this is your opportunity to ask questions about the process, or if you have something very high level, if I have missed something. Because once the public comment period begins, we'll ask you to come forward. And again, the commissioners will be listening, but we really don't want to interrupt the public comments to engage at that point. So do we have any questions? Yes, sir. That would be separate. That's not what's in front of the commission today. But again, if you would like to make a comment just in general, feel free at this time. I mean, again, even if it's just something about your rates in general or your concerns about new construction or anything like that. This application and this that is in front of the commission right now is just about the demand side management program. But I don't want to discourage anybody from making a comment. Yes, sir.
Is our representative here tonight from Kentucky Power?
There are a few folks here from Kentucky Power. That will be up to them. They may be willing to talk to you after the meeting if you have some questions. They won't come up as part of the presentation to answer any questions. Okay. Any other questions about the process? Yes, sir.
Yeah, so just kind of tying into this gentleman's question, would now be the appropriate time to give comments on the proposed new transmission line?
You are more than welcome to, but that's not what's in front of the commission right now.
Will that be addressed later in the meeting?
That not tonight, but that will be addressed at another time once that application is in front of the commission and moving forward. And I'm trying to think. I'm looking over at the legal staff. I know we have a couple applications from Kentucky Power, but I don't think we have a current transmission line. Am I missing something? Okay, that's the Pike County. Okay, the Pike County, is that the one you're referring to? The Belfast?
No,
okay.
This is regarding the Prestonsburg-Thelma transmission line rebuild project.
Okay.
Are you with AEP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are representatives here tonight from AEP if you have questions. I know that they wanted to be here to hear what was being said and if there is an opportunity to ask some questions. So, and you certainly are welcome to offer comment. because we don't have a case in front of us regarding it, the commissioners aren't going to be very familiar with whatever your comment might be. So, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean you can't say something at this point. So, okay. Yes, ma'am. $0.73 a month. Yes, ma'am. 1,140 kilowatt hours per month, and that is what Kentucky Power has said is their average residential. Not at all. And this presentation will be on our website tomorrow if you need to go back and review it. Okay, absolutely. That's okay. Take your time. Okay. Okay. No, I mean this is kind of the heart of really. I want to make sure that for those of you who came out tonight that you understand what the rate impact is going to be. So, okay. Any other questions? Yes. Um, and that is on the. I think that's the expansion is going to 60 homes. I think it's 15, 20, and 25 homes each year. So I'm getting head nods over there. So okay, I got that one right. Yes, sir.
So the $1,000 per home for the 60 homes would be cumulative. That's what it'll be after the expansion. That's not like in addition to what it's already offered, right?
Right. This is the expansion amount. So it's that doesn't mean the homes are limited to 60 homes. It's when the amount of the budget is exhausted. So if a home uses less than $1,000, then there could be an additional home. So that was just the anticipated expansion up to 1,000. Yes, sir.
60 times 1,000 is not 1.1 million. Where'd the rest go?
So I'm looking over at our financial folks. So
That's cowboy math.
yeah.
That's
Over 3 years.
3 years, yes. So expanded target efficiency program over 3 years is looking at
Yeah.
looking at
The
this.
the T.
Yeah, the 1.1 is just that is for one of the programs, the T program, which is what their current program is right now that they're looking at expanding. There's other programs that they're looking at adding to it. Those would be the audit programs that were discussed a little bit earlier. Those together would come up with looking at the total amount. Is that correct?
Yes, and my understanding is that also includes the cost of providing the auditor and the installation. So that would, if I'm understanding correctly, yes, you're right. It's 60,000 does not get to 1.1 million. So there are a lot of other components as part of the cost of the program. So, okay. Yes, sir. This is the application information. So this is what is being reviewed by all of the parties in the case. So that's where I have to start being a little bit careful that this is the information that's in the application that they've presented. So, Tripp, did I miss anything? Okay. Okay. So at this point, I want to remind you, and I'm going to leave this up here during the presentation because I promised you we would also talk about even if you speak tonight, if you get home tonight or tomorrow and go, wait a second, I forgot this, or you talk to your neighbor and they say, well, I wasn't able to come, you can send to psccomment@.gov. The only thing that we ask is that you include the case number, which is 2024-00115, in your comments. it becomes part of the public record as well. So if you do not want your, we will remove your address, but we will have your name there. If you don't want it to be, then you ask, I appreciate not having the public comment. But the commissioners read these public comments. In addition to that, if you are interested in looking at the information about the case, so you can go to our website, and again, there's a search function that you can search all of the records of any case. You just type in the number 2024 00115. Or if you're a little old-fashioned and you want a written letter, you can write, again, to the Public Service Commission all the way up until this case is decided. You can provide comments. They will be we'll scan them in and put them in the public record. So here's our mailing address. So again, there's lots of opportunity if you're talking to folks this week or next week and say, I came to this public meeting, I wish you had a chance to be there. They can still offer public comment on this case, okay? Okay, so are you all ready for the public comments? Okay. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Chair Hatton and let her, she's going to kind of give some instructions on how we're going to do the public comment tonight. And then we're looking forward to hearing from you all.
Okay. Can you hear me okay? All right. My name is Angie Hatton. I'm chair of the Kentucky Public Service Commission. And tonight with me are Commissioner Mary Pat Regan and Commissioner John Will Stacy. I should note that they are both considerably taller than me in real life, but they've been nice enough to give me the taller chair just so I could reach the microphone tonight. So we are here to take public comment in the demand-side management case that's been filed by Kentucky Power. The role and obligation of the PSC in a case like this is to ensure that the proposed demand-side management programs and the costs associated with them are reasonable and that they comply with Kentucky Revised Statutes 278.285, the demand-side management statute. We understand that in any case proceeding that affects rates, there are strong feelings and opinions, and we ask that as you provide your comments today, you be respectful and mindful of the time limit for each speaker. We're here to listen. The utility is not presenting, as Lisa told you tonight. They're here to listen as well. And if there are any interveners here, which I don't think interveners are present, but they might be, they're also not here necessarily to talk, but rather to listen. They'll have the opportunity to make their case during our hearing. So this is an opportunity for customers of the utility and any members of the public to state their positions and concerns and provide the Commission comments for its consideration. I feel like I have to look directly at this microphone for it to pick up. So during today's comment session, I will not be answering questions. The other commissioners will not be answering questions. It's just like asking a judge questions about a case before we've heard it. And I know that's a little bit confusing, but we are just here to listen to you. The Commission is the fact finder and the decision maker in the case, and as such, the commissioners are unable to comment or speak to the process or substance of the pending application. Nevertheless, questions that you raise tonight will be considered by us, and often we ask those questions during hearings. You can watch our hearings online. They're available, usually live. As we have the hearings, you can watch them by getting on the PSC's website, and you will often hear questions that we heard in public comment hearings repeated by us. We'll say someone said at a public comment hearing that they'd like to know this, and we'll ask those questions. So they do matter. If you have questions for the utilities or the parties in this case, you can ask them during the public comment hearing and anticipate that maybe they will get in touch with you or get those questions answered during the hearing. Contact information for the company and the interveners can be received by calling the Kentucky Public Service Commission, and you can speak to our staff. That phone number is 502-564-3940. Given the number of participants that have initially indicated their interest, I won't limit the comments except for maybe 10 minutes each. And we'll let you know when you have 1 minute remaining. If you see us, not looking at you, it's because we're taking notes. If I'm looking at my phone, it's because I'm checking the time. We are paying attention, I promise. And as always, as Linda told you earlier, written comments can be made at any time during the consideration of this case. Just make sure that you include your name, address, and reference case number 2024-00115. And you can mail comments, if you'd rather, to PSC at P.O. Box 615, 211 Sauer Boulevard, Frankfort, Kentucky 40602-0615. You can email your comments at psc.comment@ky.gov. When you speak, please provide your name and your address before you begin speaking. And I will now begin taking comments. You can come right up to this podium when I call your name. And if you didn't initially indicate that you want to speak by the yes or no on the side, you can change your mind. And I'll give plenty of opportunity. If you hadn't said that you wanted to comment when you first signed in and you decide you want to, that's no problem. You can absolutely still come up. And I apologize in advance for mispronouncing or being unable to read anyone's handwriting. But the first person that I had listed as wanting to speak is Brent Allen. Just tell us your full name and address, and then tell us what you'd like us to hear.
My name can you hear me? My name is Brent Allen, 75 years old. My address is 427 Kentucky Route 680 West, Eastern Kentucky 41622. This is not my first rodeo with the Kentucky Public Service Commission. I see some familiar faces. I heard you talk that you're not a intervener, but the Attorney General's office is. And just to let you know, in this week's Floyd County Chronicle, there was a half-a-page headline concerned you all and AEP and Kentucky Power. And the headline was, Kentucky Power customers due refunds under proposed settlement. You're probably not aware of that, or maybe you are. And it amounted to the overcharge to the consumers, some of you sitting here in the court room, at a tune of $17 million overcharging the poor people. Now, I'm thinking I'm not the sharpest tool in the box, but I just wonder how long that's been going on, and the word of the day is accrue interest. And why did it took the Attorney General's office to bring that to your all's attention? While I'm at it, last time I was at the Frankfort, I believe it was AEP was wanting to get rid of Kentucky Power to outfit out of Canada, Liberty, if I'm right. So anyway, make a long story short, my purpose here is not to win friends and influence people, but just to tell you just a few things that you might need to know before you do anything about this application. I had a case back in 2021-00346. And one of the things, if someone over there on the table could answer me, I put in certified letters trying to get a public hearing in Floyd County before they started running the transmission lines where they wanted to. And I was given a deaf ear. Who was the person or people that decided that they wanted to come back here to the mountains to have a public service commission hearing?
Well, we're not supposed to answer questions during this time, but I'll tell you that we offer public hearings in nearly every case that affects large numbers of people. So I can tell you why we decided to come in this case.
Well, I'm tickled to death that you did.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that I have documentation that that y'all decline. Not you all. All right. I went to Frankfort. I didn't have an attorney, but the hearing lasted 4.5 hours. I was not allowed to ask questions to AEP or Kentucky Power because I wasn't an attorney. The hearing officer that was sitting there like you all said that that was going to be the final hearing. Well, guess what? It wasn't. They allowed Seitz and Harbison, they were the attorneys for Kentucky Power, I guess they still are, to have all kinds of additional, anything they wanted to add to what their rights was in running lines or do this or moving transmission. At this time as we speak, the lines have been moved 10 times at least. And I responded in writing and photographs documenting that there was a better route that takes the heart of my farm. This kind of reminds me of a microcosm of the movie Yellowstone, where they're trying to take the farm. My farm, I've got 2 boys, 4 grandchildren. What the state didn't take with the road, the school system took the rest of it. And now, believe it or not, Kentucky Power is wanting to take the rest of it. I don't know if you all know about it. They've quit making land. Okay? So anyway, who the Kentucky Power is using as their intermediaries or their who deals with the public is an outfit called Emerald Energy. Emerald Energy is the ones that goes out maybe 1, 2, 3 times and gives you an offer. They'll lowball it the first time, maybe lowball it the next time, and then give it. And if it doesn't, then it's called eminent domain, as you're well aware. I've spent 4.5 hours down there. I gave proof that the route that I wanted to go was cheaper. It didn't affect anything. And you all have that documented with all the things that I've submitted at that hearing. You said I could ask. Who, or one of you'd like to answer a question for me? Raise your hand. For Kentucky Power. But you won't answer them on the record.
That isn't what we're here for, sir. I'm sorry. We're here to hear your comments.
Okay. Well, my question is, they've blatantly told me that they could not change the route. I would think that you might look and contact Emerald Energy if they did not move a route that's close to Prestonsburg because of the political influence of the company or people that own that company. Also, while it's on my mind, if anyone here would like to enjoin in a class action lawsuit later on, meet me in the back. All right. Another question that I would like to ask Kentucky Power is, when you're dealing with Emerald Energy, you can never get the name of the person with Kentucky Power that is making that yes or no call on moving a line. Now, it looks like the only way it's going to have to be is with a class action lawsuit where you subpoena that person and depose them in court. I showed you the article of why the Kentucky Power doesn't need any more money. During the course of the time that I've tried to work with the Kentucky Public Service Commission, as you stated, the Kentucky Attorney General is the one that intervenes on behalf of citizens like myself. At the time, I submitted all kinds of documents to the guy that was, I can't think of his name. We've got a new sheriff in town, and his name is Russell Coleman. Great man. And he was the one that he hired some experts to show you all where that they had overcharged $17 million for everybody's information. Now, you didn't mention it. You said 1934 when the Public Service Commission was established. I believe between now and 34, was that not elected position? Well, they changed it. And I would assume that each of you sitting up there are political appointees by Andy Brashear. So, how does your purview affect us that's paying your all salary, the stockholders of Kentucky Power? And while I'm thinking about it, they used eminent domain in taking part of the farm, which they do, with the highway department. The other was the school. If you don't know it, folks, Kentucky Power is not a governmental agency. What they do, they have stockholders, and they have to make money off of us. Here is a little thing that I got off the federal website to show where that AEP, in 1 year's time, paid out $1,598,686 as far as a lobbyist in Washington, D.C.
You have 1 minute.
Anyway, I would like for you all to reconsider getting Kentucky Power to look at the line being moved. And also, even though I can't ask you all questions, and I couldn't down there at Frankfurt, I've got sworn testimony by a gentleman by the name of Brian K. West, where that he misled the Kentucky Public Service Commission. And thank you for your time. And if any of the press would like to have me show you these documents, I'd be more than happy. Thank you for your time.
Okay. There are several on the list who did not indicate that they wanted to speak, but I'll go ahead and read the names just in case. Charlie Wright. Did you want to speak? And then the next few look like they are with the company. Eric Fields. Okay. Devin Kidd. Okay. And then there's one I can't quite read. It's a Prestonsburg. Dagan Bickford, maybe. How close was I? Stevie Coburn. Okay. Dennis Jen. Yes, please come right up. You'll have 10 minutes from after you tell me your name and address.
Dennis Ginn, 150 John Alford Road. That's in Bowling Green, Kentucky, Warren County. And I work for the Caterpillar dealer. I'm the solar energy sales rep and energy solutions rep for the local CAT dealer. So, yeah, CAT does solar, I know. And this has nothing to do with that. But my comment is simply that same math question. If we had 60 homes at $1,000 apiece and we're allocating $1.1 million to improve this project for 3 more years, how do we see how that money has been spent since 1995 when the program came into be? How much of that money that was allocated back in 1995 and has been used in this program has actually made it to those 60 homes or however many it was in the past? And how do we know that the money that's being allocated and that the citizens of this community are paying in their electric bills, how do we know that that money will be allocated to end users effectively over the next 3 years? Is it a program that everybody in the power company's distribution network knew was available? How was it promoted? How does the power company let the people that are using their service know that they're willing to pay for those people to reduce their power bills, be it residential for the first year or second year, or be it commercial the second and third year? because we have a lot of customers, and that's one of our focuses, is to help our customers reduce their consumption so that they can get down to a point where it's feasible to supplement that power with some of their own power that they might generate, be it residential, commercial, primarily commercial. But most of the customers that I have talked with had no idea that Kentucky Power would help them to pay for some of the costs to reduce their consumption prior to figuring out how they're going to produce some of their power themselves, all in a goal to lower their cost of utility. By the way, I do very much appreciate the Public Service Commission. I'm glad to have you behind us, because without somebody governing that mess and that monopoly, those 1,100 monopolies, our job would be much more difficult, and I do very much appreciate you being there to step in and mediate between sides. It's a never-ending day-to-day challenge that I face that I didn't realize I would face several years ago when I took the responsibility of this job. But I very much appreciate it. Hope that will bring up some questions that you can ask of our friends and our supporters over there at Kentucky Power, because without you, guess what? It gets dark outside real fast, and I appreciate them. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next on the list looks like James Owsley. If you'll just tell us your name and address before you start.
Yeah, my name is James, or Jimmy Owsley, and let me pull up my notes here. I'm at 572 Lakeview Village in Prestonsburg. All right. So yeah, hello. Thank you for the opportunity to share. Thank you for being here in our community to hear what folks here have to say. I think it's a really important and really awesome thing that you guys are doing for us. Unlike this gentleman here, this is my first time speaking, so you might hear me, the nervousness in my voice a little bit. I've worked for two nonprofits in the area. I worked for Christian Appalachian Project for 9 years, and for Mountain Association for the last 2 years. And so I just want to share a little bit about my experience serving with low-income homeowners. And also just say I appreciate the spirit of the DSM proposal. As somebody had just shared, though, it looks good for Kentucky Power to help. My concern is it looks good, but is it effective? And so, you know, we will take what they can give us, but I do believe from the information that I have read and heard and taken in today that they can do more. And for what I understand, energy companies across the country are also doing more. So as someone who's done a lot of volunteer home repair, serving wonderful, kind, elderly and disabled folks in Martin, Floyd, and Johnson counties over the years, I can say that the folks who are paying the highest, and folks here know this already, I'm just preaching to the choir, but folks that are paying the highest heating bills are the ones least likely to be able to afford it. $500 or $600 monthly bills, for example. And I've known, served and cared for folks who spend half of their check on their heating bill. First, for heat that just dissipates through gaps in the ceiling or the floors. And paying that $500 bill then becomes a burden for our nonprofits, for our churches, when folks come around and they're needing help to pay that bill. And so I know from personal experience that our home repair organizations in this area, that we can't just fix the homes fast enough. And a lot of these folks, sometimes the irony is that they've worked hard to mine coal and provide energy for the country. And now if they're elderly or disabled, somehow they're left behind. And so I see a really big need for weatherization, along with the current programs that I've participated in that are daunted by the need. So I appreciate the spirit of this proposal for DSM from Kentucky Power, and I encourage Kentucky Power to do more. We're at least 2,000 housing units short just in Floyd County. And so folks live in housing that's inadequate and in disrepair. As Scott McReynolds, the director of HDA, has shared, he said, "My first 10 years here, I lived in substandard housing, not because I couldn't afford anything better, but because that's what I could find." And I know that the utility doesn't necessarily consider this their responsibility. I know that it's above and beyond for them to offer this program. They exist to make a profit. They need to make a profit. But as was mentioned earlier, they're also a utility that exists here to serve the public. And as the public, it's not right to ask the least able and the least well off to shoulder the greatest burdens. So, as I mentioned also about the new facility, if there's an equal financial trade-off between building a new power plant on the one hand to meet demand charges for peak season, if there's an equal trade-off between building that new facility and reducing the demand for energy from those who need it most, I'll take reducing the demand and lowering bills for hardworking mountain folks every time. Thank you.
Thank you. Jordan Caldwell. Jordan Caldwell here. Okay, thanks. All right. Now, there's a few more listed that did not seem to indicate that they wanted to speak, but I'll call just in case. Heather Owsley? Okay. Shell Compton appears to be a reporter. All right. And then there was one more that I was trying to get my nerve up to pronounce, and I'm not going to do very well. Gosh, you want to go from Ashland? Yeah. Sama or
Sarah?
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry.
And have I missed anyone? Is there anyone here who wanted to speak? Well, I will give you 5 more minutes. How's that? Generally against our rules to.
The only thing I wanted to say, getting back, is these 3 pieces of property there, the Kentucky Pair give less than an acre, $186,500. Another piece of property that the biggest contributor towards politics is J&R Resources owned by Jim Booth. 2 acres, $250,000. Now, they're going to affect me 13.5 acres. If you take 13.5 acres, multiply it times what they got, $186,500, you're looking at $2.4 million for me. It's not about the money, it's about they quit making land, okay? That's all, that's the rest of the story. And everybody that is affected this thing is going to be aware of that when it hits in the paper. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other comments? We certainly appreciate everyone taking their time. It's cold out tonight, and I know that you come out to public hearings like this because you care about your community, about your neighbors, and we appreciate that. I'll just remind everyone that we will continue to allow people to submit written comments by mailing them to us at 211 Sauer Boulevard, Frankfort, Kentucky 40602, or emailing them to us at psc.comment@ky.gov. Make sure you reference case number 2024-00115. We also take public comments the day of the first day of the hearing. You can come in person, and we will take public comments in person on the first day of the hearing later this month. So with that, I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thanks again.